Hello, everybody.
Oh,
Oh, what's that?
flag.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to our SASD meeting for January 15th, 2025. The meeting is called to order. Let's take roll call. Singa?
School District 20?
Present.
District 25?
Here.
District 33?
Here.
District 34?
Present.
District 45?
Here.
District 48? Here. District 58?
Here.
District 60?
Here.
District 63?
Here?
District 66?
Here.
District 68?
Here.
District 88? Here. District 94? District 99? District 180?
Hank, Mike.
District 201? District 202? And District 205? We have a quorum.
We have a quorum, so let's move forward. If everyone would please join me in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to public comment on the agenda. Do we have anybody in the audience who, hello, Keisha. Is there no audience members, no public comment? Okay,
public
seeing none, and none were submitted, correct? Okay, we are going to move on then to the consent agenda, which you all should have had a chance to review. Let Kim touch on anything she needs to share.
Sure, it's a pretty straightforward. What I want to point out is in the consent agenda is the contract for Claire Smith. Claire is who we are recommending to fill the position of the assistant program assistant program administrator of curriculum and instruction. That position will work under Lizzie and will be housed here, working on classroom strategies in the classrooms. Again, we look at this as more of an interim position for the remainder of this year, but Claire's contract is in there on the consent agenda. Claire's been with us for a while. She's one of our SIS coaches, and if you or any of your members of your team have worked with her, I'm sure you will hear nothing but wonderful praise for Claire. And then really the only other thing to point out is that we're asking for an additional SIP day in February. We brought last semester, I brought forward some additional SIP days, just asking for one more in February for here, transition in our medical needs program.
Okay.
One question on that. Any concerns about parents? We've already moved the school calendar out. This is kind of a mid-year change. Do you guys know that?
We'll get it out as soon as it's approved and make sure that they understand. Some parents might be a little, the first time that we did this, there was a lack of communication, so parents were notably and appropriately upset, but we'll get this out in plenty of notice so they can plan appropriately.
So after today, then that'll go out? 'Cause
Yes.
That's coming up pretty quick, right?
It is, yes.
Okay. All right. Great question, Kevin. Any other questions on the consent agenda? If not, we'll take a motion to approve. John, is there a second? Second, Matt, District 25 and 34. Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
District 45?
Yes.
District 48? Yes. District 58?
Yes.
District 60? Yes. District 63?
Yes.
District 66?
Yes.
District 68?
Yes.
District 88? Yes. District 205? Yes. District 20?
Yes.
District 25?
Yes.
District 33?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, we move on to action items. Number 5, we got the approval of the memorandum of understanding between SASED and our SASED Education Association. Kim?
Yes, I could speak for Christine Chaplin. She was delighted to be able to sign off on this. As am I. I think this will really help with getting better coverage for our classrooms and making sure our staff are compensated for the work that they're doing in regard to their CBA. So again, the 6% cap is should not apply to voluntary extra duties pursuant to our CBA, bus duties, setup days, missed plan time, internal substitution, stipend work identified, and ESY. So that's what the 6%, that's what this is the contract that allows us to compensate for those areas if folks are beyond the 6%. Currently, we do not have any employees that have put in for retirement this year that are near the 6%. We have 6 folks that have put in, but I'm sorry. We have 6 folks who are in the track for retirement, but they are not near the 6% increase. So we talked about that, and that's where we're currently sitting.
Okay.
Any
All right.
questions?
And I think the Finance Committee looked at that as well. Any questions on the MOU or Memorandum of Agreement? If not, we'll take a motion to approve. Amy, Salt Creek 48, is there a second?
A second.
Okay, Christina, West Chicago. Any discussion?
We're having a hard time with this one, just so you know. I've voiced it in a couple of meetings, and I'm pretty firm about that 6% cap. I know the board has been pretty firm about that, so I'm struggling with this one. I think it does put us at risk, and I've been bitten by that one in the past.
So, right, you're talking about the penalty for the going above.
The 30,000 a year represents salary increase, and Kim did and Julie did a nice job of laying out that inside's still concerned.
Understood. I think we all, I'll say I share the concern about any future penalties that known or unknown that may happen. I think we kind of talked through the impact of that previously so that we could provide these services because we're locked in. So-
I know we've talked about it.
Yep. So you're good with that, but expressing the concern, and I think that should be noted, Matt. I think that's a legitimate concern. I think we all understand. Is there any, I'm glad you said that, and vote how you need to vote, but is there anybody else who would like to express any other thoughts on that before we move forward? Because if not, we'll take a motion to approve. I already did that. Took a motion, got a second, had discussion. Roll call.
District 45?
Yes.
District 48? Yes. District 58?
Yes.
District 60?
Yes.
District 63?
Yes.
District 66?
Yes.
District 68?
Yes.
District 88? Yes. District 20?
Yes.
District 25?
Yes.
District 33?
Yes.
District 34?
Yes.
Motion carries.
205.
Oh, I'm sorry, 205, I apologize. Sorry.
Keisha's here. Let the record show. Keisha.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you for that, and so noted. We're going to go on to the non-precedent agreement that's also in your packet.
Yes, it's actually not in the packet, and I do not have that for you today, so
I
I
apologize.
will be
We
pulling that
talked
off
about
and
that.
hopefully bringing that back next time.
Kim had shared that may not be ready, so there was a spot for it, but I was on autopilot here, so next month probably?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Let's move on to 5C, approval of municipal advisory agreement between PMA and SASED.
Yeah, so as a result of our meetings regarding facilities, we were directed to look into some agencies that could help us with funding, different options with that. So my leadership team and I met with 2 different organizations, Raymond James and PMA. Both were outstanding. We are bringing forward a contract for PMA. PMA appeared to have a little bit more experience working with SASED, with cooperatives, and looking at different ways for funding. And we felt a little bit more confident that we met with Tammy, that she would be a great asset to our committees as we work forward. So we have her contract, the contract for PMA. Basically, their fee is 0.3% per $1,000, depending on how much we are looking to fund. That seemed to be a little bit less than the other agency we looked at. So this is the contract I have before you. We'd like to, we're seeking approval, and based on approval, we'll start having Tammy come to our facility and our finance committees to help us understand ways, or help me understand ways to support our facility planning.
Just one clarification. I'm seeing 0.3% per million.
Oh, per million, I'm sorry, I said that
Is
wrong.
that-
Yes.
is that right? Okay.
Thank you for that minute correction.
0.3%
Yeah, that's a
per
big
million.
difference, yeah.
No, that's okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Finance Committee, anything to share there? We had narrowed it down to the two, and sounds like we got an agreement worked out. Take a motion for approval.
So moved.
Kevin? 58, second. Sorry, who was second? Any?
Winfield 34.
Matt, 34. Any discussion?
I think a lot, interesting, a lot of us use them already, so.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, on this one, I think we'll take a roll call.
District 45? Yes. District 48? Yes. District 58?
Yes.
District 60?
Yes.
District 63?
Yes.
District 66?
Yes.
District 68?
Yes.
District 88?
Yes.
District 201? District 205?
Yes.
District 20?
Yes.
District 25?
Yes.
District 33?
Yes.
District 34?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. All right, we are through those action items. We're now on discussion information. Categorical disbursement of SAFSAD Medicaid cost funds, another task of the Finance Committee.
Yes, as most of you know, this has been ongoing for, I want to say, 3 or 4 months now. I'm delighted to share that at our last finance meeting, I feel really confident bringing forth a recommendation. So I am going to turn over to Rachel to explain what the decision is being brought forward to help us disperse the Medicaid cost settlement.
Just as a reminder that in June of 2024, SASIC received a net amount of approximately $980,000 for the Medicaid annual cost settlement for fiscal year 22. So the Finance Committee reviewed several disbursement options and agreed that the annual cost settlement will be used to offset tuition costs in the following year. This will also be achieved through the categorical allocations for programs and services. So therefore, the annual cost settlement for fiscal year 22, which was received in fiscal year 24, will offset tuition in fiscal year 25, the current year. There is attached to board book a sample of what the tuition rates are, the budgeted tuition rates are for the programs and services that generated the annual cost settlement compared to what the tuition rates would look like after the allocation. We did decide this was the most equitable approach since annual cost settlement is based off of categories, staff categories that generate the revenue rather than individual students. Are there any questions?
So many. I just want to make sure that Andrew, Jean, I know Kurt's not here right now. This is rewinding what you guys were on the platform about. I mean, Winfield's winner here. Winfield absolutely wins in this. But when we did this by district, you guys were the ones, Christina, you also, were the ones that were paying the brunt of this the last time around. So this is rewinding it. I'm okay with it, you know, because I will benefit from it. This is what we heard about for years on the other side. And I just want to make sure everyone knows going in, that's what this is.
Matt, can you clarify what you mean by that?
That there are districts that have much higher low-income population, much higher numbers that generate a lot more of the Medicaid dollars. And there were many, many years of board meetings of us hearing that why are those not going back to the districts that generate that, because they are the kids who are generating that $1 million.
Hold on, though, that's not my understanding of it. My understanding of it, there's 2 pots of money with Medicaid. The first pot goes for your individual students, and that goes back to the individual districts. The second pot is what we're discussing here, that's not tied to individual students, and that is going back to reduce the tuition for all of us.
And this is the first time we've received this settlement disbursement money.
Yeah, this is actually almost a third
Right,
pot.
so,
So this is new, this is new, different because of the settlement money, which might be different than, because I appreciate
So,
Matt's history.
When we looked at the last time, Gene's district was losing out on $300,000. So that's why I'm making sure that that's at least not happening here,
No,
because that
that's-
was a big piece of that
That is
conversation.
not my understanding of it. My understanding of it, from what we discussed in the finance committee, is that there are 2 pots of money. The ones that are tied to our individual receive that reimbursement. This is not money that's tied to individual students, and this is going back to reduce the tuition costs so that whoever is a heavier user of the cost, who has more kids in the program, your district is actually going to benefit from this because it's on a per usage fee. So,
But is this a one-time settlement?
No, this is going to be recurring. This is the first time this year, and it's 2 years in arrears, because it's for fiscal year '22. But this will be recurring.
What do you mean by this is the first time?
This is the first revenue, the first disbursement. And
Oh, we've never seen these monies before?
No.
So
Right.
these are new ones?
This is new. That's the difference, I think.
But this is generated though, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jen.
Just how is this recurring? Why is this not,
So-
usually a settlement is a one-time.
They're gonna do it every year though. Annually, there's a formula, there is an application that, the district thinks asset fills out annually. And it looks at two components, the admin outreach and the fees for service. And, it kind of generates like, okay, for our, let's say our audiologist, based on all of the expenditures for the audiology department, this is how much money that the audiologist generated. But given that, if we've already received X dollars in fees for service, that offsets it. So an audiologist can generate, we'll just say, 50,000 in Medicaid revenue. If we've received 20,000 in fees for service, then our annual cost settlement will equal 30,000.
So-
Does that make sense? So it's not tied to students, it's more tied to looking at the audiologist as a whole.
So if I could just ask another clarifying question. So are the settlement dollars that we're receiving now, did the finance committee, I'm assuming, when we reviewed this, was the decision to use those to offset the costs for those services that are generating the dollar?
Yes, yes, so, yes, exactly.
that's correct.
That makes sense.
But is this, so just so that I'm clear, when you're talking about the administrative outreach and the fee for service, the administrative outreach is what is tied to the time studies with staff, correct?
Yes, and
Okay.
also expenditures for salaries and benefits. But yes.
Right, okay, so I guess how does the fee, I guess what I'm confused on the fee for service, isn't that the student generate that money?
Those students generate money, yes. So when you're looking at admin outreach, it's looking at all of your expenditures for that, to employ those staff. And then for fees for service, those are all of the logs, the direct logs, every time OT sees a student. So if they are Medicaid eligible, they will receive those funds.
But this is all based on generated from SAS and staff.
This money is.
Yes.
Your district also received a portion.
Right, so we get the district portions that are, that is generated based on our staff, but this is all generated by SAS and staff.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I understood, that's why I wasn't just freaked out about it.
You said this was a third pot of money?
This is a third pot, because you have your admin outreach, you have your fees for service, and then you have the annual cost
And
center.
this is a new pot of money?
Yes, this is a
Okay,
big
then
pot. And it looks at all of the expenditures.
I just didn't want to relive this 2 years from
No,
now.
it was the fee for
I think,
service.
I think that this, I understand John's good question about the settlement, because that does sound like it's a legal settlement, but it's a new third pot of money going forward for whatever, reference as the settlement fund or settlement. And that's what's been determined about, and it has an impact on our tuition as laid out here, according to the districts.
Yeah, so if an audiologist generated the funds, then that revenue, that allocation will offset the audiology tuition rate.
So it's fair to the district. I mean, it's based on that. Matt's question that he brings up, some of that history predates you, probably predates me and some of us here. That's a separate issue that's not related to this then.
I believe so, because this is
As
something
long
that's
as,
done before, right?
as long as those first set of pots of money that are tied to kids
Yes.
are going back to the districts, that was years of conversations.
Yeah, so, yeah, that is, that is current, yeah.
And the important thing here-
From a finance committee perspective, I can assure you that that is something that we were adamant about, that
Right.
individual districts for their individual students should receive that funding for this, we should use it for offsetting tuition.
And Kevin, yourself, Pat, I know, not everybody from the finance committee's here. Is there anything else you guys want to add or any other color to it?
No, just that we
Keith,
we
no.
looked at this, we looked at all these issues, and again, what we didn't want to have is a Robin Hood situation where one district is paying for everybody else. We wanted it to be equitable based on your student need, and I think we've accomplished that. And then one of the other things that we discussed, well, should we at the end do a true up and just send districts checks back with this money and divide it up amongst ourselves, or should we just offset the tuition? In the end, we picked the offset, or our recommendation is to just offset the tuition, because it didn't make sense to have the Sasson Central Office to process all these checks, then have our district office process all these checks, and in the end, it was just going to be used for offsetting tuition anyway. So we felt like this was the most administratively responsible option to do. And again, we looked at this for 4 months before coming in.
So Rachel, since this is offsetting for FY25 and we're in FY25 with 6 months left in this fiscal year, how is this retroactive? How are you going to go about applying this to tuition bills?
There will be a true up for tuition at the end of this fiscal year, and then this will be applied then, so the budgeted tuition rate will probably be completely different.
And this is based on actual expenditures, actual enrollment, those numbers, those budgeted tuition rates being varied.
So when we've budgeted per student the amounts that we have in here, we can expect that last invoice to be less.
To be less.
Thank you.
Is everybody good? Thank you for the finance committee, because I know that this one took some time. Matt, for your good question and history there. If there's nothing else for now, are we ready to?
Yeah, this
is
isn't
it.
necessarily a motion.
Yeah.
Right, it's just,
Thank you
this
for-
has been a long time coming, and we just wanted before,
more of an informational.
Rachel went ahead and did this, we wanted to make sure that our board knew, and if there are any questions or any additional thoughts that you wanted us to take back to the finance committee, we would, but,
So will there be future action for the procedure of how this is agreed to, or just for the minutes, or I just want to clarify the intention of, because you're right, it's a discussion information,
Yes.
which we've got now. But there's no action, so were you looking for any direction or feedback and then action, or no action?
more of a head nod, because this is how we'll do
Okay.
this from this year forward. It was new money, it was a new way to look at reimbursement, and now that we've worked through that and we're in agreement with this, that it's going to be categorical true up at the end of the year, then that's how we'll proceed with every other following year.
Okay, so everybody good with that? No need for future action? We're good? Okay, thank you very much, and thank you again, Finance Committee, Kim and Rachel, for your good work with that. Let's move on to 6B, Building and Grounds Update. This is a little more in-depth here, so let's go in.
Yep, so we had an inspection of our playground out here. There were about, I think, 27 issues marked on a priority scale 1 through 5. One was a high priority, which we're already taking care of. Rachel's working with her team to make sure that we have a plan to address all the concerns that were identified in the safety inspection. And then we also have our FY25 school maintenance project grant was approved for the amount of $50,000. So that's informational. Once we have more information on that, we'll bring that back for approval. Or is, oh, sorry, I'm sorry. All right.
It's just
Informational. Sorry, thank you.
That's okay?
Alrighty. Any questions on the safety ground inspection?
Great, we got the grant. We move forward. All right, the enrollment report.
Yep, Lizzie and her team continue to try to make this a little bit more easier to look at and interpret. I think the walkaway is that our enrollment is pretty steady at 379. We've had some move out second semester, we had some move in second semester, and we're gonna see that with our staffing as well. We had a few more move outs than we have moved in, and our staffing is a little bit lower than it's been all year. But anyhow, that's our student enrollment. If there's any questions about student enrollment, I'd be more than glad to address those with you.
Everybody okay? We don't have Ray here anymore, so Amy, it's your job to ask. I'm just teasing you. I do think it's important that we overlay, Kim and I talk about these reports, and I think it's important because when we look at the budget, everything, we overlay that with the next one, which is our staffing. So let's dive into that.
So our staffing again is up higher than it's been all year, 28 and a half positions that are missing. The majority of them are our teachers and I'm sorry, not our teachers, our TAs, our teacher assistants and program assistants. So Julie is working with our program admins, trying to get contractual staff. We needed to release a pretty sizable amount of contractual staff over break. So it's not that everybody left, it was that it wasn't a good fit. So we're working that through. We don't anticipate that impacting the operation of our days, but we're feeling it a little bit more in some of the classrooms that are impacted. I will say, I think recently I signed off on probably 10 new contracts, so hopefully that number is already decreasing, but that is a revolving number for us.
And Kim, just to clarify, that is the actual number in the budget for the positions.
Correct.
That's not,
They are not additional one. Correct. Correct.
Of course, every one of those we turn from a contractual into an employee is probably good in the long run as well, like everybody else. Okay. All right, any more questions there? Committee reports.
Finance, we already worked through that. We spent a lot of time coming up with the disbursement. Our next meeting has changed to February 12th, 2025 instead of the 5th. And then facilities meeting, we're meeting on January 23rd. VP is going to be joining us. He is going to be providing an overview of kind of our next steps, a very brief summary of his work with the focus groups. He's going to meet with our focus groups one more time before he brings his final summary to the facilities committee. He just wants to verify that what he heard was correct. So we're setting that meeting up for next week or the week after. But VP will be joining us. We'll have some information to share about some of we're pulling together some data for finances and so forth. So we'll be meeting on the 23rd and look forward to discussing options for facilities.
Okay, very good. Questions there? All right, just going to spend a couple minutes on some strategic plan updates on 6F.
Yeah, so I was hoping we'd be able to present, but we cannot here. But you have a link in your document for a strategic plan update. I thought it would be nice at semester to take a look at the strategic plan and give a little bit more comprehensive update as to where we are with our plan. So we have 4 areas on our strategic plan. We have retention and recruitment, we have communications, instructional programs, and then operations. So I'm going to start in order. The first one is high quality staffing. Again, there is a lot of information on that s'mores page if you wanted to open that up. If you don't, I totally understand. But under our high quality staffing, our first goal is to enhance and implement recruitment plan to market organization through various methods. The metric that was identified for this is to measure fill rates per position and throughout the organization. So Julie pulled together, we are currently at almost a 6% of unfilled positions, with the biggest percent of unfilled positions being in our program and our TAs. We don't have baseline data for this, but we have baseline data now. The next section talks about measure and increase in percentage of staff by job category returning to SACID annually. Our percentage rates of returning to SACID range anywhere from 74% to 91%, with our OTPT certified staff being a little bit higher, and then our administrators were a little bit lower this year. There's 3 new ones of us, central office and our program 1-to-1s. We also looked at the percentage of contractual staff returning. We have a high percentage in our central office and our hearing and visually impaired staff, a pretty high one for our MATAs, but a little bit lower for our program TAs. We've also increased our college partnerships by 3 since the beginning of this year. We have a recruitment and retention committee developed, and we've been looking at ways to, focusing more on retention. And it really was a lot of overlap with our culture committee, but we were looking at ways to really rebrand SACID, look at other opportunities for staff to get together. We put together, we had a great Christmas party, we have a bowling night, we were feeding our starving children. We had a Biggest Loser, but nobody signed up for it. So we're trying to get people a little bit more involved and looking at unique ways to do that. As far, our next priority is programs and services. And first metric is to increase the percentage of district referrals resulting in placement. Currently, we were unable to accept 2 referrals. We're still trying to get better baseline data from last year. It's a little hard for us to get, but we're establishing a baseline. The inclusion tracker is kind of interesting. I don't know if you're with me, but Lizzie came up with a way to look at how SACID, students in SACID programs are included. I think this is important, particularly when we go into our facility study, really taking a look at how frequently students are included in the schools that are serving them. We currently have 63% of our students that are not included in anything, in any of the schools that they're in. We have about 24% of our students that might be included for anywhere from 0 to 300 minutes a week. So that might be specials, that might be chorus or something along those lines. The majority of the kids that are included at a higher level are our deaf and hard of hearing kids and our vision students. So there's just some interesting trends there. So when we start talking about facilities and how students are mainstreamed and how they're included, I think this data might actually tell us a pretty good story of what that actually looks like. We've had 1 additional student in our transition program. We also, one of our metrics was to increase district and program admin understanding and satisfaction with services. So last semester, Lizzie and I surveyed all of your directors. So if you want further information about your districts, you could go in and take a look at how the program admins. Really, there isn't anything for the majority of the questions asked as far as timely and consulting, collaborative. Everything was agree, mildly agree, or strongly agree. There's a couple outliers that we're looking into, but it was nice information to see. If you want me to slow down, I will. I'm trying to read the room, so I'm just I'm cruising. Okay.
You're good.
All righty. Communications. I do want to spend a little time pointing this out. I don't know if you remember last year, the survey was done toward the end of the year. We had really, really poor turnout with folks completing it. So I was kind of harassing staff this semester to complete it. And in the areas of communication, we've seen really nice increases. Communication from SACID leadership, communication with or to SACID leadership, not availability substitutes, that's the only area where it's low everywhere. But opportunities for feedback. We've had gains in almost all areas by each staff group that participated. So we have our teachers, we have our related services, our TAs, and then our central office staff. So if you're bored, you're looking for something to do tonight, take a look in that. It was really nice data for me and my team to see this, because I know that we have really expressed a need and a desire to increase our communication, increase our culture. So it was validating and nice to see that we're seeing some change in a positive direction.
I was going to say, look at these numbers real quick. They're, I know you're not looking for this feedback, but yeah, very positive numbers when you consider the changes we're going through in the middle of the year, your first year, but you also had, in some cases, almost double the number of responses.
We did, yeah.
I just noted that. Previous years, were, well, you can look, it's 50 to 90% increase in response rates. You're getting more representation on staff too, which is good. Which could go both ways.
We had close to 260 staff members respond,
That's
which
great.
is about 2/3 of our staff. So it was really nice.
Well done.
And then, and there's a communication protocol in the newsletters that we send out every month after our meeting. And then as far as operations, I know we have a new way to, our new tuition structure is being implemented, and then the other goal is long-term facilities planning. So we are on that. So again, it's very comprehensive if you want to take some time to look through that. If you don't, no worries. But we were pretty excited with the results, and again, some outliers that we're following up on. But all in all, it's been a really good first semester.
Very good. Those are good numbers, great things to share, and well done. Any
Kim,
questions?
I have one question, a quick question, Kim. On the percentage of contractual staff returning, it says 100%. Are those individuals returning or positions being filled?
It's the people that are coming back.
Okay, so it's the individuals returning
yes.
to prior positions.
Yes. We have a couple contractual staff here, Patrick, that'll come back every year.
Gotcha, okay, thank you.
Does that help? Question? Any other questions or comments for Kim, for Lizzie? I'm sorry, what's that?
I think he said he had a bunch. No.
Do you have anything else, Pat?
No, that's it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry.
John, sorry. Okay, well done. Thank you for sharing that with us. Appreciate the update. Okay, I think we're under the executive director report. Got a couple items, important items here to touch base on,
yes.
okay?
So just a reminder, next month, our meeting is going to be over at Lyle. It's a smaller building, so if we get there at 1:30, we should be able to tour that. It's really a hallway, but I think, frankly, if you want to get there 1:45, that'll be fine also. But the students that are at our Lyle South site are our medical needs student, and I think as we talk about facilities, it's important for us to have an idea of what some of the classrooms look like and the supports that are in there. Lizzie and I are working on our ESY and classroom spaces. Lizzie has, first of all, I want to thank everybody. We have classes, so that is great. For ESY, as you know, Southeast is not able to host, so we had to find some additional spaces. So we're very thankful to Brian and his crew, and Andrew and his crew for offering us more classes. So you have an idea of where our classrooms are going to be. District 66 will have we'll have all of our SLE program there and our Pathways program. So we have 18 classrooms at 66. 202 will keep our two medically need program classrooms. District 45 will be hosting 11 of our classrooms. That's our DHH and our vision program. And then we'll keep our transition students over at central office. I have to mention, and we're going to mention this to your special ed directors on Friday at our meeting, because we have less classrooms, we're able to accommodate the students in the SACIT programs, but every year, many of our districts ask us to take a couple of your district kids to come to our programs. We don't have space for that this summer. We physically do not have space, so we have enough space to accommodate all of the SACIT students, and if some of them drop out, we could have a list that we could take some students, but we're not at liberty to accept normally, the amount of students that we would be able to take from your districts if you needed a space for a handful of kids here and there.
Unless we're hosting, right? And we have special.
You could probably put him in there. We wouldn't know till the second week, Brian.
To be arranged, yeah.
Yeah. So again, we're going to share this with your special ed directors. We're hoping, again, as we go through our facility study and, next year things will be different, but that's where we're at this year. The other piece I need to bring up I'll bring in hopefully our classroom recommendations for next year. We had to find new homes for a couple of our programs. So we have enough rooms for all of our programs next year. Matt has offered us an additional 5 rooms, so we'll have 10 rooms in Winfield next year. And then we're also going to have 2 new classrooms out in District 180. So between Matt and Charlie, we were able to find those spaces that we don't have.
And not really,
As-
sorry. Nope,
as,
nope.
as a result of that, right, we have to look at the best ways to service programs and, you know, where we're gonna move students. And it's, some of the decisions are gonna be different than where we've had classrooms historically placed. So, I'll have that final next week or next month. But this is like a shout out, if anyone has additional classes that they want to throw in the
Office
mix.
Spaces,
Pardon?
there's a couple of office spaces in the middle of that, because if you
Yep.
have 10 rooms, you're gonna.
It's a really nice place to host a program, Matt.
Well,
So,
Christina.
Yes.
Did a great job with the program.
yeah. So if anyone has classrooms, you know,
I think we had a conversation once about, we did kind of have a brief conversation about if you need space in D33 too.
yes, yes.
Okay.
So we'll be rolling that out next month, okay? Just want to give
So,
you.
just to state the obvious for all of us and sharing the word for those not here, anybody who may have space in your districts, it would be really, we would need to know that as soon as possible. I told Kim, I appreciate how, remember last year, we were at the end of the school year. Like, it was a pressing the panic button, and in that case, Keith and Lyle was a huge help. But my districts had to give up 2 rooms just because of programming and space, and we've been a SASSA district for many years. So we all have our construction renovation. I think Amy and Kevin for sure. So if you could go back, talk to your larger districts, talk to your people. Anytime we can get those and spread those around the cooperative, but it also just drives home the point of why we're doing our facility planning, right? So we all are at different distances of driving, but trust you guys in the process to get it kind of squared away and get it ready to go. But this is an important one, and it'll be good to have it settled in the coming month or so.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. We don't want to
Very
live
good.
through that again either. So,
You-
yeah, we're on it.
No, appreciate you guys being on it,
Yeah.
for sure.
The other piece that I have attached is the budget schedule for next year. Rachel put that together. We brought it to finance, bringing it here, and then we'll bring it to the governing board. The governing board meets 29th, I believe.
20th of January?
In January, yes. Just an FYI, thank you to everyone around the table that sent me a reminder to complete this. We're on it. So this is the separate public special education day school reimbursement application. As you know, there was a change in legislation that allows co-ops now that have standing facilities to be able to have their districts reimbursed, similar to how we reimburse for the private day schools. So Rachel and I are completing that application. We'll have the first part I think is already done, and then as more comes out, we'll be completing that. So you don't need to complete it, we need to complete it. I had a question from a district, if we have a program that we run off campus, should we be filling that out? I don't think so, because it's your tuition, unless you're bringing in kids from other schools. There shouldn't be a need for you to do that. You're not going to get reimbursed for kids that are already in your program. So just in case you guys are wondering about that, but we're on it and we got it. And then lastly, just an update, our Spring Institute Day, SASSA goes all out to support our districts. The date is February 28th. I attached our offerings, and we have about 625 participants that already signed up. Darcy sends out information to your special ed districts pretty regularly on who from your district is signed up. So your special ed director should have that information. And I think that is it.
Any questions on the executive director's report or any of those main big items that Kim covered? Is there anything else?
What do you need to know about space? Like, how do we communicate?
Why don't we touch base? Yeah, that'd be great.
Anybody else on the space issue? One thing, Kim, we brought up last month. So those of us I know we all have different situations, collaborating between SASSET and the individual districts. I know, so how that's rolled out and communicated to SASSET staff while SASSET employees, but important to us in that they've been in our schools for a long time. I know it's a different feel everywhere. That'd be the one thing that I'd ask that we do however we do that. We communicate together and work on that. Does that make
Okay,
sense?
yes.
That's gonna be an individual district thing, so you guys gotta tell them at some point, but like, I don't know, maybe that's
Yeah,
just us,
Our
but I just
PAs
wanna
already
be,
know.
I wanna be mindful of that.
Yeah, we had to share that with the PAs as we were going through the classroom assignments. But once we have that finalized, probably after next month then, we'll be sharing that information out with staff.
Okay, yeah, just so they don't hear it through the rumor mill
Yes.
or whatever, that's all. I just wanna be
Okay.
sensitive to those people, so,
Okay.
that's all. Thank you. Anything else? If not, we'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting at 2:44 PM.
So move to field 34.
Mr. Kincorb, second?
Second.
John, Benjamin, all those in favor say aye. Motion carries. Thank you,
right.
everybody.